I'm Rabbi Justus and I work to bring people of all faiths together to learn how to live together a little more peacefully. And I've learned that when Jews and Christians and Muslims come together, that one of the most difficult issues that emerges is the conflict between Israel and Palestine. It's almost like a hot stove, and if you get too close to it, you get burned. So with regard to this conflict, there's two things that we need to have much more of. The first is patience, and the second is prophecy. First, let me tell you why I think we need more patience. Israel recently turned 61 years old. It's very young for our country. It reminds me of what the United States was doing when it was in its 60s. And when America was only 60 years old, it was struggling with two complicated issues that would define the nation for generations to come. The first one is the issue of Native Americans. How would the country deal with the native peoples who were on its land? The second issue it was dealing with was slavery, and how would we deal morally with the issue of slavery that people for generations had been dealing with? These two issues were defining natures for the United States when it was 60 years old. So too Israel at 60 years old is dealing with defining issues. My point here is that to build a nation, to build a country, takes time. In Israel, the issue of the Palestinian people and how it will deal with the occupation, the issue of the religious nature of the state and how Jewish tradition will be used in decisions of the state, these are defining issues for the state, and all of us, Jews, Christians, and Muslims, need to have more patience when we deal with the conflict. The second thing we need more of with the conflict is more prophecy. Throughout Jewish tradition, Jewish prophets called the Israelites to task for how they were behaving. There's something really interesting about prophecy. Prophets don't criticize other peoples about how they're behaving. Prophets criticize their own people. They reach into their religious tradition and they find those voices that need to be heard to remind their own people how to behave. I'll give you an example of a teaching we could use to be a prophetic Jewish voice in this conflict. One of my favorite teachings, in Hebrew the phrase is Ve'ahavta et hager. You shall love the stranger, for you were once strangers in the land of Egypt. This is an example of a teaching that Jewish prophets can raise up today to talk about how we should deal in this conflict. We need more modern prophetic voices in the Jewish tradition, in the Muslim tradition, in the Christian tradition, to reach deep into our traditions, to find those teachings, to teach us how to behave in this conflict. There is a lot of blood on our hands and on God's hands between Israel and Palestine. And if these two nations are going to continue to build countries without losing their souls, we need more patience and we need more prophecy.